Howdy doodle, everybody. How's it going? That was weird. So I get to the different filter for a second. Anyway, this one we are talking more about just regular kids and what I feel should be added to middle school and high schools. I know the other one was a bit heavy, but I'm adamant on helping these misplaced youth. It all starts there. If you want to change the world, you change the youth. Step one. They got to be better and think better than all of us. Those are the ones I'm here for. Kids and teens and animals and women. Because clearly our wombs are always attacked in political seasons. Frickin' trying to speak rightly. That's for another day. Let's talk about middle school and high school. So this is a part of the kids' lives where electives start happening. And electives are all those classes that they get to take that aren't really required and don't really count on anything other than they show a college, like your ambitions and how much you are dedicating to learning. And some of those that add up together can count as credits. And these are classes like, they didn't have this when I was younger, but I'm really glad that they have these forensics classes. They do the cool stuff with high schoolers, you know, where you can make a foot impression, lift fingerprints. They don't touch base on anything too heavy because it's got to be age appropriate, but they get them invested and it helps promote more detectives in the future. I know that some schools are starting, it's not like a nursing course, but you can basically, you go in with a nurse and it's a couple classes and you learn basic first aid and you talk to nurses firsthand on what it's like to be a nurse or a doctor, because you know that's kind of a hard one to take a class for. But I know that this country is hurting for doctors and nurses. We're outsourcing to other countries, so they're making it more of a point to hit up middle schools and high schools and start getting kids invested in medical fields. So always be mindful of that in your area. And if you don't have that in your school and you're on the PTA, be sure to recommend that. We're going to need doctors and nurses for all generations. But these are some of the things that I think would be beneficial to all kids to have access to, I should say. I'm sorry, this heat's getting to my brain. To learn in middle school and high school. First of all, I want to talk about basic self-defense. I think this is prevalent, especially for young girls in middle school, to learn how to defend themselves from all attacks, from behind, from front, from sideways, what they do, what they should do if somebody tries to touch them or rapes them. There's this miseducation, and a lot of the reason why women in my generation stayed quiet is because it was very hush-hush and not talked about. I need to open that door for these kids so that they don't shut their mouths and keep these criminals protected because they think it's shameful to them. We need to get rid of that by opening the door. If somebody makes you feel wrong, if somebody tries to touch you, if somebody did touch you, whether it happened last week, it's not your fault. And the reason why you report it is because they're going to do it to someone else. And if you can help stop it, and you have rights, and your body should be respected, these are things that we need to sit down with little girls and get in their head. Stranger danger is a real thing. We don't have parents out here that we can count on to teach them what they need to know about, you know, date rape, getting slipped in, like don't leave your drink unattended. These kids need to hear that, especially if they're close to going to college. Rape is 99.9% the highest factor of any teen girl in their college years. Unfortunately, campuses are targeted and other students on campus do the raping. It's a fact. I'm not trying to terrorize college kids, but most women are raped in college or in their college bearing years. So keep that in mind if you are sending your girls off to school. What better, and boys. I don't feel like it should just be girls, because there are boys that get bullied and should know how to defend themselves against bullies. And there are other men that attack other men, you know, for money or whatever. So everybody knowing how to defend themselves would be beneficial. Basic karate, basic self-defense. You don't have to get into it, but it should be publicly funded in public school. Defending yourself should be a priority in this country. It's only getting 0 dark 30. Anger management, a smash room, or a punching bag. Like I said in my last video, kids have all this angst, and there's places where you can go and spend money to smash things. But what if a high school or a middle school had a room where you could just go and whip paint at the wall, or you could go and break something and you could have people donate stuff, and an anger management counselor there, so they have healthy access to release their anger and guided support through it right there at school. They don't have to go to their parents, because a lot of these kids with anger comes from stuff at home that they're not comfortable talking about until after they've smashed some stuff or released it, and the tears come after the anger is released. This is a must for angsty teens. It's give them a healthy outlet. They won't fight so much. They won't lead to other things like, I smoked weed in high school to numb what happened to me. If I had a smash room or an art center, somebody there, right there on hand, not a guidance counselor, okay? Guidance counselors are too busy. They're more dedicated to your education. We need a real psychiatrist office in the school, that if a kid needs personal sessions, it should be funded by the state, because most of these kids in public school don't have health insurance, or their parents can't afford to put them in counseling. Why are we not giving them an outsource right there in the school if you have a nurse's office and you have a guidance counselor? You have 2 guidance counselors per grade. That's not fair. That's not counseling these kids. That's not giving them help, and they know it. It's time for parents to start pushing, especially in this world with all this shit going on. Our kids are getting fucked up, and they need someone to talk to that they trust. And sometimes people don't want to talk to their parents. Don't you remember what it was like when you were a kid? There's certain stuff you didn't want to talk to your parents about that you would talk to a counselor if you had it available to you. Free tutoring. After school and before school, parents spend so much money trying to tutor kids with learning disabilities. I don't feel like anybody should have to freaking pay money because your child needs a little extra help. I think the teacher should get paid more to stay or come in early. It's adding to their check. They're making more money. Obviously, give them the choice. Don't make it mandatory. But if kids had more, and a lot of teachers do work with their students in this way, especially in middle and high school. But if you had like a literal tutoring center in the school where you could be quiet, you could get away from all the other kids, have little cubicle rooms where it's just you and the other person tutoring. Kids need to focus. Give them an area where they can focus. Bringing into other cool clubs that I think kids just like thrive in. Newspapers, magazines, school news shows. Like my high school had a morning news show. It was a video that played in every class, and it was like we were real news anchors. We had a newspaper. It was an outlet for all of us to write and debate our thoughts, and it gave us a real voice. And I think kids really dive into that in their creative aspect, and it sometimes leads them to careers. They also have production rooms now in schools where schools can make short films every semester. I think those things are hands-on and get kids really engaged and excited about coming to school in their own area to voice what they need to voice and talk about the changes they want to make in this world. Get them thinking about bigger stuff. Plays, talent shows, and battle of the bands and school dances should be prevalent still to this day. Of course, accordingly to how much the school can afford, but these kids, these are rite of passages, okay? These battle of the bands with their high school garage band, some of them grow up to be famous. And what better to have that person say, I started in my high school battle of the band. People do grow up and want to be musicians or actors. Give them an avenue and give them school dances to hang out with their friends in a safe area. Dinners serving the homeless where the students can come and take care of the homeless. It humbles them. It makes them feel like they're helping out. But that's just a few. I have tons more.